Hey, that top recruiter family, how are we doing? Andy Whitehead here. So, just want to make you a quick video. I'm about to head out to the gym. Just got back from Legoland in Windsor in the UK with my kids. And you know what? I've never queued so much and never eaten so much crappy food. So I'm about to head out to the gym. But I just want to make you a quick video regarding a hot topic right now, which is LinkedIn. And some of you may have the change already in terms of the restrictions in place in terms of numbers. Some of you have not. Although we've been told by account managers these numbers are coming in, I just want to go through a scaling framework with you for LinkedIn. I'll say it again, a scaling framework for LinkedIn. So one of the things that I've seen over the years, whether it be with a one-person business or indeed a 30-desk business, is the amount of money that's left on the table. And what I mean by that is we don't have a base grip on fundamental outcomes. What I mean by that is we want to be doing 1 million, we need 50 placements of 20k. Right, to get 20k, we need to get this authority, we need to get into a retained space, or to get 50 placements, we need to have 150 conversion conversations, or etc. But there's always just reverse engineer the steps. And it's pretty simple. One of the problems we've now got with recruitment as things stand now, whether it be headhunting or it be staffing or it be recruitment per se, is the thinking we need to be doing a lot of stuff. We need to have this new tool, this new shiny object, this new social media platform. The reality is it's about having, usually when we work with someone and that getting to 500,000, then 500,000 to 1 million, there's probably going to be 3 core projects for each of those jumps, 3 core projects. It's about becoming really efficient at those projects. So for example, LinkedIn would be a project. It's not about doing LinkedIn and adding in a podcast strategy, then adding in a webinar strategy, then adding in a JV strategy, then adding in blah, blah, blah. It's about having a handful of strategies you become world-class at and efficient. So one of the things that I've seen over and over again with LinkedIn is inefficiency with LinkedIn, whether it be, again, a one-person business or a larger business. So let's just focus on our outcome here, okay? The outcome for you is to get X amount revenue to give you X amount profit. And to do that, you need 2 things. 1, you need clients, and 2, you need a candidate to fill that role. Simple stuff, huh? And we complicate it. So let's look at LinkedIn. Let's look at LinkedIn. So not every market will be using LinkedIn to the same degree as other markets. In some countries, it might be a different platform, but let's look at the principle here. So the first thing with this is understanding what your niche is. So every time we work with somebody, what niche are you in? I'm in this, right? What industry location role do you cover? What are the numbers in the marketplace? So the first thing is niche. What niche are we in? And within that, if you've been following me for any number of years, you know, I always ask the same question: how many clients are in your market? And a client is number of organizations multiplied by number of decision makers. So say, for example, there are 5,000 organizations in your niche, and there are 3 decision makers. So there's a project manager, there is a HR director, and there is a Java development manager. And there's 3 decision makers in each on average. That means you've got 15,000 potential clients. Make sense? Nice and simple. And let's say you're dealing with a certain type of candidate in a certain location with a certain level of Java. And it might be investment banking background, New York City. And let's say that there are 20,000 of them that fit your market. And you might then break it down into that 20,000 is like 4 lots of 5,000. You might see got 20,000 of those. I've got another type of developer. I've got an Oracle developer, investment banking, New York City. There are 5,000 of them, etc. So you start to build up this map about understanding what the size of your market is. But let's just now for simplicity say there's 15,000 clients and there's 20,000 candidates. Agree? Just make it nice and simple. So with LinkedIn, how do you turn this into an efficient process? Well, one of the outcomes you should always have in your business is you should have all of these in your database and in your LinkedIn network as quickly as possible. Now, I've been saying now for many years about LinkedIn will at some point get to saturation point. They will start charging for connections. If you go onto YouTube, search for a video called Get Off LinkedIn and Own Your Niche, you'll see I did a video about this about 7-8 years ago. And in fact, probably 5-6 years ago. And I spoke about this because LinkedIn will reach the saturation point with users versus revenue. And we're now at that point. So we want to get LinkedIn constructed in a very simple fashion. So these numbers here are LinkedIn profiles. So the first thing is this. What I'm not saying is you set up a fake bullshit LinkedIn profile. So for example, if you're a one-person business, you might have profile number 1 is going to be you. That could be you. Profile number 2 might well be your VA, as an example, okay? Never set up a bullshit profile. We tested a company many, many years ago and we went through hell and back. So never condone doing that. But what I want to lay out is the simplicity of scaling LinkedIn. So let's say we've got 2 outcomes here. Let's say that this first profile is you and we're focusing on clients on this profile, okay? Let's say profile number 2 is for the Java developers. There are 15,000 clients and there are 20,000 Java developers. Now you might be an overachiever and say, right, we've got another VA in our team, VA number 2, and we're going to go for the Oracle developers 2, which is 5,000. So now we've got this structure. So my profile is going to be for getting clients. So if we've got this process of getting clients in, so this first profile here, our goal is to get that 15,000 in our network. So to get 15,000 in our network. And we'll get these 20,000 in our network, and again in our network. So why do we do that? Well, we do that for 2 reasons. One is, once we're in our network, we're in our ecosystem, we can then disseminate authority content relevant to them. So we can post content. For example, I might do a video when I come back from the gym about podcasting. So we've got 5 modules, 5 strategies on podcasting, and generally, if you do the right things, you'll get to number 1 on iTunes, but I don't really care about that too much. Much more about ego. I'm more concerned about you getting paid. But with podcasting, it's more reactive. So you put up the podcast and then you get a response. Now you can control who was on the podcast. You can control who you interview on the podcast. You can control how you disseminate the podcast. So let's say here, for example, we do a podcast and it's relevant to clients inside this niche, looking for these candidates. We can disseminate content to that ecosystem. And then in here, we can disseminate content to candidates specific to, are you a Java developer in New York? Are you looking to take your rate from $75 an hour to $125 per hour? Are you looking for certainty for a 3-year project? So we can make our content really, really focused. Okay, so we want to build up these networks in this way. Now, if we've got 15,000 clients, 20,000 candidates, 5,000 candidates, is there enough there to do $1 million a year? Yes, 100%. 100%. So if we're getting just, I know it'll be different fees, but let's say we're getting 20K per fee, times by 50, that equals our 1 million. So the question is, Andy, I believe I can get 50 placements from that niche based on these numbers. Now, everyone's numbers will be different. We've got a member right now who's doing, well, it'll be 2 million this year by the looks of it, if not more. When she joined us, she was doing between 15,000 and 50,000 per quarter. $500,000 a quarter. So the reason she's been able to do this is this focused approach. Now she's actually not using LinkedIn. You know, it's one of the strategies, but it's not a core driver. But what we're doing is she's in a space which is very, very niched. And rather than panic and say I need to go out to a bigger niche, it's to say no, we want to get to 1 million. Are the numbers big enough in here to get to 1 million? Yes, they are. We've also increased her fee. So with LinkedIn, you want to be thinking, right, I want to get to 1 million. This is the size of the market. If I now have my profile structured in this way, I want to get this network built. Number 1, for content. But number 2, to get roles. Or number 2, to place the candidate. And number 2, to place the candidate. So if you think about the process of LinkedIn, it's pretty damn simple. You know, I've got right here some of our worksheets. And I won't go through all of this, but this is about scaling LinkedIn, okay? And if you think about this particular model that we've used, particular strategy, is we've used LinkedIn to get future clients onto a webinar, okay? Now, in that case, there are 6 steps they go through. So for example, let's say that every month you run a webinar. And on that webinar, your outcome was to get 40 one-to-one appointments, okay? Or you might just use LinkedIn, and we know we've got LinkedIn campaign modules whereby this is message 1, this is the invite message, it uses template, this is message 2 when they reply, then message 3, and then they move into what we call a message bank, I'll come to in a second. But this is all very simple stuff, agreed? You set up a profile for each, then it becomes how do we get 15,000 inside our network? Well, the first step is the invite message. The invite message. So if we're sending out, say, 100 invites and we get 10% acceptance, are we going to tweak it and change it? Yes. If we send out 100 invites and we get 50% acceptance, we're going to change it. Probably we'll still change it and see if we can improve it. So this first step here is literally an invite message. So we've got many templates on this, but the ability to scale and be efficient comes from changing a few words in an invite message. Then basically looking at the numbers. So we sent the invite to, let's say, 100, we get the feedback, we get a number, then we make a decision on what we change. We change a little bit of text, then we run it again. So if you go to our case studies page and you see members who 5x, 10x in a year, and I get it if you're not being open to this, and that sounds like bullshit. I get it because you're not thinking in this manner. But we've got an invite message, number 1. Now, when they've accepted, we've got what we call message 1. So I used to call this a 3-step hop. So it's like going to a bar, seeing a lady you like or a gentleman you like, walking up to her saying, do you want to get married? You don't do that. You might make a little look across the room, you might have a little wink, who knows what you like. You might be that smooth. I'm not. Then you go over and you might want to buy them a drink, then you go on your first date, then you go on your second date, then you go away for weekends and you schmooze them, you buy them flowers, you cook, then you talk about moving in, then you have etc. You don't just get married straight away. Same principle here. So message 1, then we got message 2, and then we got message 3. Now at this point, we're getting an appointment in our diary. So behind this, these messages are about, number 1, authority, number 2, credibility, which means they've got other options. They can use another recruitment business, they can use internal recruitment or do it themselves, or they might have a preferred suppliers list. So you want to overcome that in this message in here. But these are simple. Now these messages aren't long, these are very short messages. But what you get is a metric again. So message 1. So let's say that we sent out 100 message 1s, and we got, again, a 10% response rate. Happy with that? No. So we're going to tweak it. But at some point, you get to a number, and it might be, say, 40%. And then message 2, you get a response rate of 50%. Then message 3, we're getting really closer, 60%. Now, again, if you've got 100, if you start off with 100 here, and if we remove that, an invite is, let's say, 50% accept, then of that 50%, 40% reply. So that means we get what? So 15 roughly reply. You see the numbers suddenly dwindle down, don't they? And half of that's going to be 7, then half of that, well, can become 4. So suddenly your 100 invites becomes 4 actual good quality leads. So you've got to think about the effort we put in here to get down to 4 quality leads. And what we really want is a diary appointment. A diary appointment. And it might be at that point, if you ever send across, by the way, your diary to a link to your diary for a prospect, when you haven't got credibility, you're going to get a big fat 0. And in fact, you're going to piss them off. It should be a dialogue whereby you exchange when's good for you. When we started doing this over a decade ago, one of the things that we've got many appointment strategies, and some of our members were doing things, and other recruitment companies looking at our members, and they were literally putting an appointment button on their website or sending out a link to their diary. It's not working. It won't work. But the outcome is to get here. So our outcome is to get qualified appointments. Qualified meaning they're hiring or they're about to. Qualified meaning you've overcome lots of the objections already. So in here, we send something called a 𝐘𝐨𝐮𝐫, a client attainment system. That overcomes all the objections they've got before you speak to them. If you just get appointments in your diary, and then you get on the call and it's objection, it's not good use of your time. So, if you think about this process, all it is is creating a profile, number one. Then we've got an invite message. Then we've got a second message, a third message, a fourth message, and then into an appointment. In there, we do send a client table system, and there's a bit of work in doing that, but overcomes all the objections. That now becomes something that operates every single day. So we've got a UK member. That UK member 5x their business in the first 6 months running this on LinkedIn, and they were focusing on more the candidate side. Now on the candidate side, you can see how the process will work. Same again, invite, message 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the focus here is obviously on the client world. This over here is focused on the candidate world. So the messaging is completely different, obviously. But this company 5x'd. They 5x'd in 6 months. And how they did it was the following. There was 2 people in the business. They were a husband and wife. The way they did this was the following. The husband, 1.5 hours per day, made sure these metrics were assessed. He had a meeting with the VA at 9 AM, and he had a meeting with the VA at 1 PM. So he could check in with the VA with the numbers. Now that meeting, I think it was 30 minutes and I think 15 minutes. The other 45 minutes is made up of him tweaking the template, or he'd submit it to us on our weekly calls, and then we'd tweak the template. So that 45 minutes was tweaking the template, or templates, of which we got 1, 2, 3, 4 into appointment. He was actually focused on the candidate side. Now that company 5x'd. They 5x'd. He's working 1.5 hours a day. Now his partner was dealing with actually the back end of the process, actually the calls with the clients, the calls with the candidates. Now this is in their first 6 months with us. On the candidate side, and I kid you not, and if I heard this, I'd say it's bullshit. Inside our program under Model Success, there's a 90-minute session on this. They were getting 100% reply rate from candidates. 100%. 100% reply rate from candidates. So how does that happen? On this message 1, it happens because they're being efficient. Now the very first cycle they ran that, I can't remember the exact numbers, but they didn't get 100%. Like cycle 1 might have been, let's say, I know, a 30% reply rate. Then they've tweaked it, it's gone to 50%. 3, to get 100%. Now that isn't the norm. In fact, it's not happened since. But what this gentleman did is he said, right, in this 45 minutes, I'm going to make sure that I fully understand the niche I'm in, understand my avatar, I'm going to make sure the messaging matches what we're sending out, I'm going to make sure the VA is hitting the figures we've given them. The VA should be doing X per hour. And then the actual messages themselves, we've got what we call a message bank. So we've got a message bank which our members use. And in this message bank, all the messages from your day, along with all the templates, all of the components of that VA's actions for the days, are in this message bank. So what the owner does, or this gentleman working 1.5 hours, he's not in there inside LinkedIn. He's actually going into the message bank, which is in a Google Doc. He's going in there, he's creating a Loom video, and he's saying, right, message 1, this is how you respond. And then over the course of about 2 weeks, what will normally happen is, that Loom video, by the way, messages come in, the VA puts them into your message bank, into the message bank. Loom video, 10 minutes per day. And then what will happen is, usually from week 0 to week 2, if you've been hitting the numbers you should be hitting, i.e. invites and messages, you'll have a handful of anywhere between 5 to 10 templates that will pretty much fit every response coming in. But the business owner is spending 10 minutes a day doing that. They're not inside LinkedIn all day, which means your time as a business owner is much more efficient. So going back to LinkedIn scaling, it all starts off with niche. And I say this every single time, and I know it's almost repetitive, but this is the base foundation of your business, your niche. Understanding who your client is, who your candidate is, and the numbers behind it. This is the base foundation. Then you build on this. You build on this. And it starts down here with basic fundamentals. And if you're a £30 million company, or if you're a startup, I'm always going to be about the base fundamentals, and so should you. So scaling LinkedIn can end up with crazy numbers, as in terms of growth, and working crazy numbers, as in crazy low, if you get into a sufficient model. So if you actually think again, what have we got as deliverables? We've got a profile, we've got templates for that. We've got a handful of messages. We've got a message bank each day that we assess. We've got a VA who implements our messaging. That's it. Now, if I'm running this business, I want to get to 15,000. So if I then see that, right, each month we're adding 1,000 new clients per month to our network, linear, that's 15 months, isn't it, to get there? Now, of course, as you get close to the end, it'd be less so. But then what happens is, if I've got a number, so every month I'm adding 1,000 new clients to my network, and I'm happy with these numbers here, I can pretty much leave that. I'm going to check my numbers, make sure they're consistent, but I can know every single month I'm adding 1,000 new clients. Now, why is that also important? So one of the things we do in the month before Christmas, when other people are down in tools, we do the opposite. Like a catapult, we get ready to actually smash January, but also get business in December. So if you've got, say, 10,000 clients in your LinkedIn network, or indeed if you've got them 10,000 in your offline database, we've now got absolute power. We can segment and send a targeted message to get leads in, to get appointments in. Or if you've got a world-class candidate, you can segment your LinkedIn data set to say these 400 companies, you've got this world-class candidate, and you can run a campaign, or rather UVA if you choose to, by the way. So this building up the network should be systematic. And I said years ago that LinkedIn will start to squeeze, and they've done that. So if you're not going to jump on this now, it's not going to get any easier, it's going to get worse. So you're on the home straight now of leveraging LinkedIn before you get absolutely, saying this nicely, you're going to get a big bill to use LinkedIn the way you want to leverage it and scale it. Now, it might be your niche is smaller, it might be your niche is bigger, but it starts off with niche, map it, but again, you don't need a big monster here. You can do 1 million off these numbers, you can do 1 million off half those numbers, but it's about being efficient. And being efficient means, right, I've only got these deliverables, that is it. The next deliverable is converting the appointment. Now, part of that is a client attainment system, which I'm not covering today. But can you see how that becomes systematic? 1.5 hours to 5x the business. Powerful, huh? Now, if that's something you're interested in, number of ways we can help you. Number one, reach out to me. Reach out to me on Facebook. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Number two, you can jump on the call and chat. Number three, head to iTunes. Go to our podcast. We've got 130 odd podcasts there. And listen to the podcast. But number four, what I would say is this also, is don't stagnate or procrastinate on this, because things are not going to get any easier. They're going to get a lot tougher with this. But I really want you to remove some overwhelm. I had a call with a gentleman about 6 weeks ago, and this guy was a great guy. But the minute I spoke to him, I could tell that he was not a fit for me. And the reason why was because he was going so fast, and entrepreneurs, we go 1 million miles an hour. He was going so fast, he wouldn't have the ability to stop and go, right, I need to actually change the wheel on the car here. So he's going to be doing forever, he's doing about 300K. He'll be forever there, working 80 odd hours per week. And in his phrases like, I don't need help, but absolutely fine. If you can take a step back and go, right, what's my outcome? I want to be doing 1 million. I need 50 placements of 20K, right. What's my base fundamentals? This is how simplistic it can be. So guys, with that said, just want to check in with you. LinkedIn's changing. I want to make sure you're ahead of the curve. If you're not inside the Laptop Recruiter group and you've seen this somehow, get inside the Laptop Recruiter group on Facebook. Reach out to me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and I'm sure it's been of use to you. I'm going to go to the gym now and try and detox some of the Legoland food. Take care, guys.